I never thought that we would be able to be doing the things we're doing with AI.
The alert first flashed red at 3:17 in the morning. Inside a high-security genetics lab, an AI named Chronos had finally pieced together millions of degraded DNA fragments from a mysterious fossil. For months, the team thought the sample was contaminated. The genetic structure was too complex, too perfect. You see, this wasn't an animal or an early human. The AI had just resurrected the genome of a true Atlantean. Now, the data is locked down, and for good reason. What it shows about their biology is set to completely shatter everything we know about human history. The Chronos revelation. Deep beneath the waves of the Atlantic Ocean, where sunlight has never touched, lies a world of crushing pressure and eternal night. It's a place more hostile than the surface of Mars. The pressure here can exceed 8,000 pounds per square inch, enough to turn a military submarine into a pancake in seconds. For decades, this dark frontier, known as the Abyssal Plain, has guarded its secrets. But recently, a deep-sea submersible, the Odyssey, was exploring the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, a massive undersea mountain range that many believe is the final resting place of the lost city of Atlantis. Its mission wasn't to find a city, but to collect geological samples and fossilized extremophiles, tiny organisms that thrive in impossible conditions. The Odyssey's robotic arm scraped mineral crusts from hydrothermal vents, bagging samples of sediment and bone-like fossils that were tens of thousands of years old. To the naked eye, they look like nothing more than strange rocks. But the thing nobody tells you is that locked inside these fragments are microscopic traces of DNA, shattered by time and pressure into a billion tiny pieces. For years, trying to read this ancient fragmented code was like trying to reassemble a shredded encyclopedia in the middle of a hurricane. It was impossible. That is, until Chronos. Chronos isn't just a supercomputer, it's a new generation of quantum artificial intelligence designed by a secretive tech consortium. Its purpose is singular: to find patterns in chaos. It can run trillions of calculations per second, piecing together the most degraded and ancient DNA, what scientists call a DNA, with terrifying accuracy. When the samples from the Odyssey arrived at the lab, Chronos was set loose on the data. For weeks, it hummed away, sorting through genetic gibberish. The scientists expected to find the genomes of ancient bacteria or maybe a new species of deep-sea coral. You can see this kind of work everywhere in modern science. But then came the alert. Chronos had done more than just assemble a few genes. It had reconstructed an entire genome, 99.7% complete. A genome that was, to put it mildly, impossible. It wasn't microbial. It wasn't from any known fish or marine mammal. It was humanoid. The most shocking fact, however, was its age. Carbon dating placed the fossils at approximately 112,000 years old, right before the last major ice age. That's a time when mainstream science says humanity consisted of small, scattered groups of hunter-gatherers. Yet the DNA Chronos sequence told a completely different story. It was more complex, more efficient, and frankly more advanced than the DNA of modern humans. The initial report from the lead geneticist was leaked, and it contained a single chilling sentence. The sample appears to be Homo sapiens, but a version that is thousands of years ahead of us on an evolutionary scale. The discovery sent shockwaves through the small group of people who knew about it. The implications were staggering. This wasn't a missing link. This was a final chapter from a book we never knew existed. The DNA was so bizarrely advanced that the first theory was a hoax or contamination, but every test came back clean. The genetic signature was real and it was ancient. Many people are crazy about ancient mysteries, but this was no longer a mystery. It was hard data, and it pointed to one unbelievable conclusion. A highly advanced branch of humanity existed on Earth over 100,000 years ago and then vanished without a trace. But the complexity was only the beginning of the puzzle. More than human. So what exactly did Chronos find that was so earth-shattering? When scientists talk about DNA, they're talking about the blueprint for life. The human genome has about 3 billion base pairs, the letters of our genetic code. The Atlantean genome was similar in size, but what many overlooked was the elegance and efficiency of its structure. You see, our DNA is filled with what is often called junk DNA, remnants of ancient viruses and deactivated genes that no longer serve a purpose. It's like a computer with thousands of old, forgotten files clogging up the system. The Atlantean genome, however, was clean. It was perfectly streamlined with almost no wasted space. Every single sequence seemed to have a function. But the real wow factor was found in a handful of specific gene complexes that do not exist in any modern human. The first one scientists nicknamed the Prometheus gene. This gene appears to regulate cellular regeneration at an incredible rate. In modern humans, our cells degrade over time, which leads to aging, disease, and eventually our end. The Prometheus gene seems to allow for near-perfect cellular replication. This means Atlanteans likely had vastly extended lifespans, possibly living for centuries. They wouldn't have suffered from many of the diseases that plague us today, and their bodies could heal from injuries at a speed that would look like a superpower. Plato, in his ancient writings, described the people of Atlantis as being part god. It was always assumed to be a metaphor. Now it seems he may have been reporting a biological fact. Then there was the Poseidon complex, a series of genes related to respiratory and sensory functions. This is where things get really wild. Analysis by Chronos suggests these genes would allow an individual to process oxygen with extreme efficiency, enabling them to hold their breath for astounding lengths of time, not just minutes, but perhaps over an hour. What many overlooked is that these are precisely the adaptations needed to thrive in a deep aquatic environment. Even more incredible, the Poseidon complex included enhanced sensory genes. Their optic nerves were structured to capture more photons, giving them the ability to see clearly in near total darkness, like the deep ocean. Their auditory range was also far broader than ours, potentially allowing them to use a form of biological sonar or echolocation, just like dolphins. The thing nobody tells you, though, is the most controversial discovery of all: the Atlas locus. This region of their DNA is connected to the brain. In humans, our brain is the most energy-consuming organ, using about 20% of our body's power. The Atlas locus appears to be a biological upgrade, allowing their brains to operate at a much higher capacity while using less energy. But here's the kicker. Embedded in this locus is a structure that looks eerily like a biological quantum processor. It suggests they could process information at speeds we can't even comprehend. This wasn't just intelligence. It was a fundamental difference in consciousness. They might have been able to perceive multiple dimensions or communicate telepathically. This is, to put it mildly, the most profound and terrifying part of the discovery. We haven't just found an ancient cousin, we found a species that was biologically superior to us in every measurable way. This genetic code wasn't the product of slow, random evolution. It looked designed. A world before our own. The existence of the Atlantean genome does more than just prove a legend. It forces us to completely reevaluate the history of civilization on this planet. Our current model says that human civilization began around 10,000 years ago after the last ice age with the rise of agriculture in Mesopotamia. But this DNA, dated to 112,000 years ago, tells us that a civilization with a biological technology far beyond our own existed long before that. This wasn't a primitive society. A species with this kind of genetic makeup would have been capable of incredible feats of science and engineering. You see, for decades, researchers of ancient mysteries have pointed to evidence that just doesn't fit the official timeline. There are underwater structures like the Yonaguni Monument off the coast of Japan, a massive stone ziggurat that some geologists claim was carved over 10,000 years ago before the sea levels rose. There are ancient maps like the Peary Race map that appear to show the coast of Antarctica without its ice cap, something that hasn't been seen for millions of years. Mainstream archaeology often dismisses these as natural formations or hoaxes, but in the light of the Atlantean genome, they suddenly seem much more plausible. What if there was a global high-tech civilization that predated the Ice Age? A civilization that was wiped from the face of the Earth by a massive cataclysm. Many people are crazy about this idea. The legend of Atlantis, after all, ends with the island sinking into the sea in a single day and night of misfortune. Geologists know that the Earth is a volatile place. Around 12,800 years ago, a period known as the Younger Dryas began, where the planet was plunged back into near Ice Age conditions. There's growing evidence this was caused by a comet impact, an event that would have triggered worldwide earthquakes, mega tsunamis hundreds of feet high, and volcanic eruptions that would have blotted out the sun. An event like that wouldn't just end a civilization, it would erase it from the geological record. All that would be left are the myths, stories of a great flood found in cultures all over the world, from the Epic of Gilgamesh to the Book of Genesis to the legends of indigenous peoples in the Americas. And perhaps a few hardy survivors, their advanced knowledge lost, forced to start again from scratch. The most shocking fact is that modern human DNA shows a strange bottleneck around 70,000 years ago, where our population was reduced to just a few thousand individuals. Could this have been the final echo of the cataclysm that wiped out the Atlanteans, leaving only their less advanced cousins, Homo sapiens, to inherit the Earth? This discovery suggests we are a species with amnesia. We are the survivors of a world we have completely forgotten, and the evidence has been right under our noses and under the oceans this entire time. If this is true, why is this information being suppressed? Facing the revelation. When a discovery is made that fundamentally changes our understanding of reality, the first reaction isn't celebration, it's fear. The Atlantean genome is the biggest secret in the world right now, and you can be sure there are powerful forces working to keep it that way. You see, this isn't just about history books. It's about power, control, and the very fabric of our society. To put it mildly, this knowledge is seen as a Pandora's box. Once opened, it can't be closed. Think about it. The world's major religions are all based on the idea that humanity was created by a divine power and holds a special place in the universe. What happens when it's revealed that we might just be the second best version of humanity, a genetic downgrade from a far more advanced ancestor? What happens to global stability when it turns out that the legends of gods walking the earth were actually just descriptions of these biologically superior beings? The potential for social and political chaos is immense. This is why the data from Chronos is now classified at the highest levels. The scientists involved have been silenced with non-disclosure agreements backed by threats of treason. The official story will be that the samples were contaminated, that the AI made an error. Any leaks will be dismissed as conspiracy theories, and you can see this happening everywhere already. A few fringe science blogs have picked up on rumors, but they're being drowned out by official-sounding debunkers. The thing nobody tells you is that this is how information control works. It's not about erasing the truth, it's about making it look ridiculous. But are we sure this isn't just a fantasy? Could the AI have been wrong? People watching this are looking for that mystery, that one detail that makes it all click. The thing is, this technology is new. Quantum AI is still in its infancy. What if Chronos didn't discover an ancient genome but created one? What if, in its attempt to find patterns in the noise of degraded DNA, it simply invented the most logical and efficient structure it could imagine? A kind of genetic wishful thinking. Many scientists who have heard the rumors are leaning toward this explanation because the alternative is just too paradigm-shattering to accept. Did it all happen overnight? Is this real? Are we missing a key detail? The truth is, we might be. The only ones who know for sure are the handful of people who have seen the raw data, and they're not talking. This discovery changes not just our past, but our future. Could this advanced DNA hold the key to unlocking humanity's own potential? Let us know your thoughts below. Like and subscribe for more secrets.